Salvete, nobiles mei, ex optatire venitis al canale meum, Metatron loquor. Hodie de cultu Etruscorum disseremus. And I am so excited, let's get started. The Etruscan civilization continues to fascinate historians, anthropologists, archaeologists, and the general public after thousands of years. Most of the mystery surrounding them stems from the Roman manuscripts and literature that record their likeness, as well as tangible artifacts left to their successors. Now let's place them temporarily and spatially. The Etruscan civilization was most prosperous from the 8th through the 3rd century BC, so from the 8th through the 3rd. That's a tongue twister, all right. With the vastness of their territories laying in what is northern and central regions of modern Italy. The Etruscan culture was renowned for its rich mineral resources, and it held some major Mediterranean trading power. That took 15 takes. Madonna Santa. Unfortunately, much of the culture and history were either never recorded, obliterated, lost to time, or assimilated into their conqueror, Rome. Si quidem res Romana antiqua vel equites mediaevi vel Japones samurai tipi placent, fias nobilis nostris odalici, ad plura Metatronis videnda, subscribite huic canali. Okay, this is lovely, but what do we have? What can we use to learn more about this fascinating civilization of ancient Italy? And before I get attacked, because a lot of people get mad when I say Italy, Italia, and I speak about the classical period, because they tell me, oh, Italy has only been a country for a very little time, and I know that, I'm Italian, I mean, Italy has been a country since 1861, however, the term Italia is a lot older than that, and perhaps I'll make a dedicated video to that, but suffice to say that in Roman times the word Italia was used, so it's absolutely fine to call the peninsula Italia. It's not incorrect, the name was used because it's extremely ancient as a name. It has some very interesting origins, perhaps I'll cover it, but suffice to say, you can say Italy, that's absolutely fine when talking about the territory. So about the Etruscans, what has remained is the sophisticated architecture, burial customs, jewelry, weaponry, but also artwork and wall paintings. And talking about this, so statues, wall paintings and art, we actually have a very solid idea of what an Etruscan man and an Etruscan woman would have looked like, not only in terms of the sort of clothing they would wear, but also the sort of complex hairstyles that they had, but also all the way down to the sort of makeup and look that Etruscan women had. And it is actually very fascinating to learn not only what they looked like, but also the sort of ingredients that they used to recreate these looks. And if you want to know more about that, I've actually made a collaboration video with my girlfriend Kenzie over at her channel, where she has recreated an historically accurate Etruscan look. We both worked together on it, and she speaks about the ingredients used and everything, and it really gives you an idea. It really allows you to, for a moment, step in the past of about 3,000 years to look at what a woman would have looked like. So check it out. Link in the description below. Etruscan cities functioned as independent city-states that were linked by a common language, culture and religion. Geographically, the Etruscans spread from the Tiber River in the south to parts of the Po Valley in the north. Some of the major Etruscan cities included Cerveteri, Velk and possibly most famously Veii, thanks to the Apollo of Veii statue found in the location. If I mispronounce some of the cities, I apologize profusely. I don't speak Etruscan yet. Now, because of their independence, each city developed at a different speed, but it seems that most coastal cities, where the trade was plentiful, were the first to advance both in innovation and manufacturing. Rich local mineral resources such as iron, gold and silver led to the manufacturing of metal tools, pottery, precious metals, and some weaponry and armor. The Etruscans were part of a trade network that linked them to each other, as well as to the Phoenicians, Greeks, Carthaginians and the Near East. They exported plenty of goods such as iron, an indigenous form of pottery known as bucchero, and most notably wine. Alright, what did Etruscan warfare look like? The warriors, the armor, the weapons, the battle formations. I am so gonna wear my copper alloy helmet for this part. Well, because of these close relationships with other civilizations, it is no surprise that Etruscan warfare seemed to have followed mostly Greek principles, such as the use of Hoplites. Many Etruscan artworks depict their warriors wearing a Corinthian helmet, a bronze breastplate, greaves, a large circular shield, so aspis or oplon, having their troops deployed in the static phalanx formation. One famous example of these figures is the bronze Etruscan warrior found at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. By the 4th century, Rome had begun to flex on the neighbouring Etruscan cities. Unfortunately, the invading of northern Celtic tribes was not helpful for the Etruscans. From here, there would follow nearly 200 years of intermittent warfare between the Etruscans and the Romans. All peace treaties and alliances were squashed by battles and sieges, such as the 10 years attack on Veii in 406 BC. Now, of course, 406 BC, I need to make a massive caveat. This sort of armor that you see here will be extremely anachronistic and very futuristic. But since this is the sort of Roman armor that I've got at the moment, please allow me a little creative license, as long as we understand that this will be anachronistic. The year 280 BC saw the fall of Tarquinia, Orvieto and Vulci. Cerveteri, one of the last Etruscan cities to hold against the Romans, fell in 273 BC. The conquering Romans often destroyed whole cities and sold surviving Etruscans into slavery. After levelling Etruscan cities, they would establish new colonies and repopulate the area. The end of the Etruscan civilization followed after they gave support to Gaius Marius during the First Civil War. It was won by his opponent Lucius Cornelius Sulla. Like many ancient civilizations, the Etruscans followed a polytheistic religion whose gods ruled different important elements in their lives. At the head of their pantheon was the god Tin. Like Zeus, Tin was the god of the sky and thunderbolt. There are a variety of other Etruscan gods and goddesses, such as Tanur, goddess of birth, Aita, the god of the underworld, and Usil, the god of the sun. Also, another thing quite specific and peculiar to their religion was their two methods of divination, namely augury and haruspicy, both used to divine future events. Fate and destiny played large roles in the Etruscan religion, so the use of divination shouldn't be too surprising. Augury was the process of reading omens from birds and weather phenomena. Haruspicy was instead the method of examining the entrails of sacrificed animals. The Romans would come to adopt the Etruscan practice of divination along with other features of the Etruscan religion, such as the rituals for establishing new towns. The Etruscans would build temples in a sacred precinct where they made offerings to their gods. These buildings would be made up of dried mud bricks, wooden poles and thatch roofs. By 600 BC, their architectural style had evolved into more solid and imposing structures using stone and Tuscan columns, which would differ from Greek and Roman columns in the sense that they would have a basis but no fluting. Each town had three main temples that resembled their Greek counterparts. However, there are differences between Greek temples and Etruscan temples. For instance, Etruscan temples had a protruding porch. But possibly, rather than temples, there is another thing that was quite famous: Etruscan tombs. The Etruscans buried members of the same family over several generations in large earth-covered tombs or small, square buildings. Circular tombs have been measured as much as 40 meters in diameter. They have a dome-like ceiling and were accessed by a stone-lined corridor. Alright, noble one, so this is the end of this video and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember thumbs up, and if you're not yet members of this community, become a noble one. Subscribe to my channel for more content from the Metatron. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Valete. This is not wine, mate. Considering the amount of times I need to retake the same scene, if I had to drink actual wine over and over again, I would be wasted.